Yeah.
Peace, everyone.
Peace. Hello, and welcome to today's edition of our daily Bible reading. As always, I'm Khalil.
I'm Xavier.
And today we're going to be continuing our reading of Leviticus. We'll be starting today with Leviticus 17. Do you want to talk about what we read when we last left off about the unclean?
So basically, it was a few different types of ways that you would be pronounced unclean. We got the leprosy, skull, things, stuff that forms in your beard and your head. We also see that it can be a part of the house and a part of the garments, the clothes, and the process to get clean from that. So, which would be one bird for a burnt offering, one bird for a sin offering. He would take the blood, put it on the thumb, the ear, and the big toe on your right side. He would do the whole sacrifice for you, and that would make you clean again. That way you can go back into the camp and dwell amongst the people again. And then we got into Leviticus 16, which was the Day of Atonement. We went over how the Day of Atonement was a sacrifice that we did once a year behind the veil, and that was the one time that you can go behind the veil. Well, not even you. The high priest could go behind the veil and sacrifice. First, he sacrificed and makes atonement for himself and his family, and then he will make an atonement for all of the people and atone for the sins of all the people. And then we showed that, like Hebrews 10 tells you, that was a law that they did year by year, but it was a shadow of good things to come. So it was, the Day of Atonement was given to us really to represent something in the future. And that something or someone was Jesus, and how Jesus died for our sins. But not only did he die, he lived again and was resurrected 3 days and 3 nights later. And so we see that the Day of Atonement was really pointing to Jesus. And we kind of talked about that and things of that nature, but that's about where we left off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we could be continuing that with Leviticus 17.
Yeah.
But first, since today is February the 20th, we will be doing our daily Proverbs first, and that would be Proverbs 20.
You want to go ahead?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Proverbs 20 and verse 1. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. The fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion. Whoso provoketh him to anger sinneth against his own soul. It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, therefore shall he beg and harvest and have nothing. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Most men will proclaim every one his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. A king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scareth away all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have made my heart clean? I am pure from my sin. Diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are alike abominations to the Lord. Even the child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. The hearing ear and the seeing eye the Lord hath made, even both of them. Love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread. It is not, saith the buyer, but when he is gone his way, then he boasteth. There is gold in a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel. Take his garment as surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. Bread of deceit is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets, therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. Whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. An inheritance may be gotten hastily at the beginning, but the end thereof shall not be blessed. Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee. Diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and the false balance is not good. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry. A wise king scattereth the wicked, and bringeth the wheel over them. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upholden by mercy. The glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil, so do stripes the inward parts of the belly.
Reading.
Thank you.
Yep, good reading. I like verse 4. Because, like verse 4, the sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg and harvest and have nothing. So oftentimes in agriculture, right, you would plant at a specific time. And of course, when spring comes, that's pretty much when you see the, you reap what you sow, right? So in this case, he's like the sluggard, the lazy person isn't going to put in the work when it's time to put in the work. And then when everybody else is harvesting and they're reaping what they already, reaping from the work that they've already put in months ago, he's going to be the sluggard, the lazy person is going to be begging in harvest. And he's not going to have anything. Why? Because he failed to do the work. When it came time to do the work, when the work needed to be done, he failed to do it. And I just feel like that's good for, everyone. Like, especially things like pushing off stuff for tomorrow. Like the book of James tells us, like, man's life is like a vapor. Here 1 second and gone later. Like, we don't know how much time we have. So especially spiritually, we need to be working now, building now, increasing our knowledge, understanding, wisdom. That way, when the time comes, we can be rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Seek the Lord while he may be found. And that's James 4 that you're talking about with the vapor. With the life being a vapor.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Something in particular that I really like, and said it a few times in this chapter, verse 10, and then as well as like 23, where diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are like abomination to the Lord. Then 23, diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and false balance is not good. Where it can be easy to like not think of it this way, but like in times past, like scales we have today, we just step on a scale and it tells us the weight. In the past, how you would weigh things is you would have set weights. Like you would have like, okay, I have this item, it's specific, it's like labeled, it is 1 pound, this is 2 pounds, this is 3 pounds. Just think of it like a dumbbell. And then you would have a scale with 2 ends. And then the item that you didn't know, you didn't know the weight for, you put on one end, and the things you did know, like your dumbbells, which have a very specific weight that you've already measured, and you have like labeled, you put on the other end, and that's how you would find out like how much you weighed. And that's even why in the Bible sometimes they'll talk about like an ephod, or even like a talent, where when they're talking about like a talent of silver, a talent of gold, or the other ways they sometimes refer to money specifically in the Bible, they're talking about weight. Like this much weight of silver, this much weight of gold, this much weight of bronze and brass. So when it's talking about having a false balance, or diverse weights, which means basically, like if you have 2 1-pound weights, but one weighs a little bit more and one weighs a little bit less, then it's meaningless. And basically people would use that like fake weights that didn't actually weigh as much as they were supposed to in order to scam people. Like, you're supposed to pay me 20 pounds worth of like gold, but I use weights that are actually 30 pounds. So now you've actually paid me 30 pounds of gold because I used a bad balance. Where literally is just talking about the entirety of just having a false sense of like judgment, really, where you are scamming or where you aren't what should be done in a situation you aren't doing. Because like I'm using it for money because that is like sort of like how it was like the biggest application for it. But this is just talking about in general, or just you yourself, you have diverse weights, or you have a false balance, meaning that you just don't have a true sense of righteousness, a true sense of correct judgment with the Lord, where even Proverbs will talk about how people justify the wicked, where people call good evil and evil good. That's what it's talking about there. And the Lord hates that. It's an abomination to the Lord. Because as His creations, we are to hold the same judgment that the Lord has. And that's what His laws are really all about. It's His judgments. It's His righteousness. And we ought to have that same standard. So, yeah.
Yeah. I like 11. Even the child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. Really just, and that's pretty much as simple as one can put it. Like, even a child is known by, like, God is looking at a child and He can, like, oh, like, that was unrighteous, that was wicked, or that was righteous. That was, like, don't think because a child is a child that he has, like, a free pass to sin against God. Like, no. And that's something we've read consistently over the past few Proverbs, where he's talking about how to train up a child or teach a child. The point is, you're supposed to ensure that the child's work is pure, because it means, like, it's not, a child doesn't get to sin and everything is now good. Like, God's not looking at it or He's winking at it. No. Children aren't supposed to sin. Parents aren't supposed to sin. People aren't supposed to sin, regardless of the age, right? So I just like that. Like, God is recognizing a child's doings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then just real quickly, verse 22. Don't recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and He will save thee. Like, turn the other cheek. Like, don't plot and scheme. You'll get back. Let the Lord handle it. He'll take care of you. We've seen that with the whole story of Joseph in the late chapters of Genesis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say now about Proverbs 20.
Likewise.
Alright, Leviticus 17 then.
Chapter 17, you ready?
Yep.
Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and unto his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded, saying, What man soever there be of the house of Israel, that killeth an ox, or lamb, or goat in the camp, or that killeth it out of the camp, and bringeth it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, to offer an offering unto the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, blood shall be imputed unto that man. He hath shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring them unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, and offer them for a peace offering unto the Lord. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat for a sweet savor unto the Lord. And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. And thou shalt say unto them, Whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers which sojourn among you, that offer a burnt offering or sacrifice, and bring it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer it unto the Lord, even that man shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for your souls. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall pour out the blood thereof and cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for the life thereof. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. And every soul that eateth that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beast, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and he shall be unclean until the even, then shall he be clean. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then shall he bear his iniquity. Yeah.
Yeah.
This chapter digs into, we've read it before. It's said it before. I think it's Leviticus 4 where it talks about don't eat the blood, it's the life thereof. But this chapter goes real into it. And it even brings back the mention of atonement. Like, it's the blood that makes an atonement. When people sin, there needs to be death. It's really that simple. The wages of sin is death, or the reward of sin is death, right? So there needs to be shed of blood for the remission of your sins, or to make an atonement for your sins. And so that's what he's saying here, like that the blood is for the atonement, it's not for you to eat. You know what I'm saying? So we're not supposed to be eating blood, but it also points back to what we were talking about yesterday, how Jesus shedding his blood for us and raising back up, that was him atoning for the sins of all the people, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, and then it even says like, for the, verse 13 where it talks about if you hunt and catch your food. So this just really like, he's giving you ordinances here, which is like, when you catch and eat your food, not only are you supposed to eat what's clean, but drain the blood out too. Don't eat the blood. So yeah, but that's pretty much what that's saying.
Yeah, because even is opening up the chapter about like hunting is different. Like you even just pointed out, like at the end where they hunt the animal and they just pour out the blood and then just cover it in dust. But when they had just their own cattle, you can think of it just like a path, the same way we keep livestock, like sheep and cows now, where they had to give a piece to the Lord when they killed it, to eat of it. And we read you have to give the fat of it, you have to give the caul, the kidney, pretty much all the same stuff that we've seen in just the regular offerings or the burnt offerings, the same stuff they would take out from the insides and they would burn upon the altar and give to the Lord is the same stuff for the most part that you had to give to the Lord whenever you killed your beast to eat. But I only really bring it all up for the point that, and it kind of goes back to tithing, is that you're supposed to always give a piece to the Lord. Where tithing, it's not even about the money. It's about, you have to give to the Lord. You have to give him, at the very least, the 10%, a 10%, right? You have to at least give him a 10th, right? Where even here, the Lord has given you this cattle, you have to at least be willing to give him this. And that even goes for us now in the lives that we live. Where, granted, we may not have cattle that we are owning and then slaying most of the time, but we should still be dedicating at least a portion of our time to the Lord. Because, even then, the book says to meditate in his law day and night, because it really should always be in your mind, and be in your spirit, be in your actions. But we should always at least understand and know we have to give the Lord time. We have to give the Lord something of all that we do, right? But, yeah.
And I just want to make sure it's clear. You're still, today, need to be giving your 10% to the Lord.
Oh, yeah, it's the tithes.
Like, it's not, like, he's right. He's right. Everything he said was right. I just don't want it to be like, oh, I can give my time instead of my time.
At times, yeah. Like, when I say tithe, like, tithes of your time. The same way you give tithes of your money.
Yeah.
That's not the end of the matter. You should also be giving your time as well. Where it's in the same thing. The same way you did it. Like, it's not about money is the point. Like, you tithe of all.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about 17.
Yeah. Chapter 18,
Yeah. Leviticus 18 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments, and keep my ordinances to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord. None of you shall approach to any that is near kin to him, to uncover their nakedness. I am the Lord. The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover. She is thy mother. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or the daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for theirs is thine own nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thine aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter, or her daughter's daughter, to uncover her nakedness. For they are her near kinswoman. It is wickedness. Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister, to vex her, to uncover her nakedness, beside the other in her lifetime. Also thou shalt not approach unto a woman, to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife, to defile thyself with her. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind is abomination. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it. And the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also, when ye defile them, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them, shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God. All right, Leviticus 19. What's that? 19? Leviticus 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's right there. Yeah. It's pretty good chapter. I mean, it's largely talking about what we would call like sexual immorality or in general fornication, which isn't just sex outside marriage, it includes it. but it's like, what's it, a broad term. I'm trying to think of a synonym. There's a word I'm thinking of. It doesn't matter. It's just a broad term that covers pretty much any sexual sin or something that you shouldn't be doing of like a sexual nature, which is like the entirety of this chapter. Because that was it, uncover the nakedness of so-and-so. It's not just saying you literally see the naked, which you shouldn't like be doing anyway. But like even like we see the example of like Noah and like Ham, and like he wasn't killed just because he saw his father. He wasn't killed regardless. But I'm saying that it's here in like even law, it's like talking about cutting someone off of his people, which means to kill. But he wasn't punished or killed because he saw his father naked. He was, well, rather his son Canaan was punished because Ham made fun of his father because he saw his father naked, not because the act. And when it says uncovered nakedness, it means to like have sex with, is what it's really talking about.
Yeah, and all of this is good, right? I don't really see too much. Like, I don't think, and I'm going somewhere with this, but not for real. But I'm saying, like, the nakedness of thy father's wife thou shalt not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness, right? So that's not your mother. In today's term, we probably call it a stepmother, but it's really, he can have an additional wife. Like, let's use Isaac as an example. If Isaac was to lay with Keturah, you know what I'm saying?
That's Abraham.
No. Yeah, his father, Abraham's wife, to uncover her nakedness. He would be wrong in that moment. So, of course, don't do that, right? The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father and the daughter of our mother, whether she be born at home or abroad. So no matter where she's at, she's your sister. Don't uncover her naked, right? All this is good. I say that to say, when we skip down to verse 22 and it says, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind, it is an abomination. Saying don't lie with another man like you would lie with the woman. It falls in the same line. If we're not supposed to lay with our sisters, we're not supposed to be gay neither, right? And it calls it an abomination. It's something the Lord hates, right? So I really just said all that really to get back to verse 22.
Yeah. Like it's all of like, and then even 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast of the father so therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down there too. Again, talking about sex, it is confusion. Where like it's the same thing. Where it's like a bestiality, like what it's called. Like that's not supposed to happen either. And that's even the point. Like this is basically like the go-to of like talking about what like fornication is. Like more so or less, where it's just like this is like it lists a lot of things that are considered like in that tax bracket, as you would call it. Where and it's one of those things where it's just and like I say this because this is the thing of like all of these things that I've seen, literally nearly every single one that we read in this chapter, I have like either heard or seen someone like do. Or something, like not physically seen, but like you get what I mean. Where like I know a person who has done this, or know of a person, or I've heard of a person, where it feels like a lot of these things are like so ingrained in. Like even the thing of like where was it? Like stuff like thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife, it is thy brother's nakedness. Like just like all of these things where like these were happening in the land of Canaan and in the land of Egypt, which is why the Lord's even bringing it up in the first place. Or even all the way back in like the biblical times, all of this stuff was happening. The same way, my point being, it's the same way as it was today. And it's one of those things where we just have to like understand that it's always going to be that way, I guess you could say. Where the world is going to just function differently than the way that we should function. And we can't always look and that's just the thing that the Bible talks about. The friendship with the world is enmity with God, where we can't look to the world for examples of how Christians or followers of Christ should behave.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about chapter 18.
I kind of like verse 16. Because just you already read it, where it talks about don't uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. I just like how he puts it there because, and this goes with, right there, that's adultery. You know what I'm saying? And adultery is a form of fornication, but it's adultery, though. It's its own bracket. But my point is, when a woman is married, she belongs to that man. He put it like that's your brother's nakedness. Why is you messing up right there? I don't know. I just kind of like that. How he puts it right there.
I mean, it's pointing out specifically brother, specifically father. But even in 20, it just says moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her. Where it makes it even just to cover all bases, don't sleep with anyone's wife.
Yeah.
I said not your father, I said not your brother, I said not your son, and sleeping with your daughter-in-law would crazy, and then your son's daughter, your daughter's daughter. So again, your grandkids crazy, but leading to covering all their bases. I think even even with fornication is that the world today is more so mistaken between I guess you could call love and lust, where they think carnal lust is equated to the same as love. You get what I mean? Where they're not the same. This would be example of more lust. Love is an action in the sense of we see how love behaves. We see how the love of God is, and that's John 14:15. If you love me, keep my commandments. For God so loved the world. Was that Matthew 3? For God's, what was that, 5? For God so, it's 3? Okay, I thought so. Yeah. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, right? Where, that's love. Lust is just our desire, right? And the thing is, everyone has a desire towards something, but our desires, what we lust after, can be sins. And that goes for, the things here, as well as pretty much all the law that we've read so far. And it's up to all of us to, and fornication is the biggest, it's pretty much the easiest example, from things in the Bible pointing to the real world, simply because, sexual stuff is still called lust, so it's just a one-to-one, but we should all be controlling our lusts in the same way, to where we don't allow our desires to cause us to sin. Within anything in this chapter, or anything before, or anything after that we'll continue to read.
Yeah.
Because it's lust is more than just in this chapter, but even the things in this chapter, we can't allow our desire for these things to influence our behaviors.
And I would go an even step further. Changing our desires.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because,
Lord
your
desire.
Yeah. James tells you, you're not tempted by God, you're tempted,
you're tempted by your own lust.
By your own lust. Stuff that you're interested in. If you like playing a game, and it's the Sabbath day, you might be, tempted for it because you want to, you're lusting after that game. Well, my point of saying that is, we get to, once you take action and start serving God and doing it, your lust start to change. For an example, you might eat pork. You know what I'm saying? You go you learn about God, you learn how, okay, I'm not supposed to eat pork. 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, you're not even thinking about any pork. Like when you walk into a restaurant or something and you smell pork chop, you get angry instead of being tempted to eat it. You get what I'm saying? Your lust can change. And my point in saying that is, like, even in, like, as we start serving God, and you brought up the whole lust point, like, we should, and it's possible, and we're supposed to, as sons of God, and daughters of God, we're supposed to, like, we're supposed to get to a point where that's not even a temptation anymore. Like,
Yeah.
You're another man's wife? No. Like, there's no chance. You're my brother's wife? There's no chance. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
That the desire's not
like,
even there.
for example, Joseph.
Yeah.
Joseph, Potiphar's wife was trying to sleep on him. He was like, how can I commit this sin against God? Like, he wasn't tempted. Even when you look at Jesus, when he was quote unquote tempted in the wilderness, Jesus, like, yeah, he was going through something, like Satan was actually tempting him, but was Jesus ever really tempted? You think he was standing up there like, dang, all the world does look good, though I can get all that? Like, Jesus, it wasn't even a second thought. Like, no. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's possible for us to get to that point too. We just gotta stay in our book and stay strengthening ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Same thing.
So, chapter 19,
Mm-hmm.
in verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy. Ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten God. I am the Lord your God. And if you offer a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, ye shall offer it at your own will. It shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow. And if aught remain until the third day, it shall be burnt in the fire. And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable. It shall not be accepted. Therefore everyone that eateth it shall bear his iniquity, because he hath profaned the hollow thing of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of the field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather the grapes of the vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. Ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of the Lord, the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shalt fear thy God. I am the Lord. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbors. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among the people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with the diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman, that is a bondmaid betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death because she was not free. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord for the sin which he hath done. And the sins which he hath done shall be forgiven him. And when ye shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manners of tree for food, then ye shall circumcise the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be uncircumcised unto you. It shall not be eaten of. But in the 4th year, All the fruit thereof shall be holy, to praise the Lord withal. And in the 5th year ye shall eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall you use enchantments, nor observe times. You shall not round the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. And if a stranger sojourn within thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hand shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and do all my judgments. And observe all my statutes and all my judgments and do them. I am the Lord.
Good reading.
Thank you. This chapter to me helps kind of put into perspective that the old isn't different than the new. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oftentimes we kind of have this false, like, thought process that, like, this new introduces this love and this, like, love for your neighbor and things of that nature. But really, that's always been given to us. We were always supposed to do that, even in the old. Like, where it talks about in verse, first off, when he's giving you a law to how to treat your neighbor, it's showing how you love them. So even in verse 16, where it says, don't go up and down as a talebearer among the people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. Like, look out for your neighbor. Don't go up telling everybody business. We read this in Proverbs where, like, a talebearer separated chief friends? Or,
yeah.
Like, we've read how a talebearer can hurt people. And so this is an example of, like, so you showing your love. You're not going to be a talebearer among the people. Verse 13, don't defraud your neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. So, like, don't defraud him, treat him right. Verse 14, don't curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but fear the Lord. Like, so this whole chapter is, even when you talk about verse 8 through 10, where it talks about when you're growing your vineyard, or you're growing, what does it say? When you're reaping the harvest from your land, so all your wheat's growing up, all your farm is growing. It says, where's it at? Verse 8? Yeah, verse 9. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of the field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of the harvest. So he says, don't reap the corners of your field. Why? Because in verse 10 it tells you, thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So we also have ways, like, God also gave us ways to look out for the poor. Like, today, in today's world, we do have like food banks and shelters for people that are hungry, but typically, it's hard for them to eat. Well, in God's ideal, in God's perfect kingdom that he was, like, giving us the rules for, they would have a place to eat. Like, they could just go and grab some from the corners of your field and they could be filled. And today it's like crazy, like, oh, this is my field, I planted all this, blah, 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 I gotta save this for, the poor people. Like, yes, like, this is the love we need to be showing. But my point in bringing all this up is to say this love wasn't brought in the New Testament. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same love he was teaching in the New when he came down is the same love he was teaching when he was giving us the laws on how to dwell amongst our people. And it even goes as far as to say in verse 33 and 34. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. So not even just Israel, but anyone who's dwelling with you, you're supposed to show that same love for. So God's always been about loving your neighbors and things of that nature. And I think this chapter does a real good job on showing that, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think there are even, to your point, like a few verses that even say that same, or go along with that same sort of, like 17, 18, 33, and 34, where thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him, thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. That love thy neighbor as thyself, literally, like what Christ says, the entire law and the prophets hangs on two things. The first being love like the Lord with all your body, your heart, your soul, and the second one being love thy neighbor as thyself. And then even the bit just about hate thy brother in thy heart, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, not suffer sin upon him. Again, that's another thing that even Jesus talks about again in the New Testament. But then even more importantly, but I want to focus on 33 and 34, if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt, I am the Lord your God. Which, even to me, two things. It goes to, it reminds me of the parable of what we call the Good Samaritan, where, if you remember, the parable starts out with Jesus being, Jesus telling, I believe, the people, saying, hey, love thy neighbor as thyself, right? And then the Pharisees, I think it was, asking him, well, Lord, who is my neighbor? And then he described the parable of the Good Samaritan, where you're like, dude falls in the way, like an Israelite comes up, a Levite comes up, I think then like a priest, and no one helps him, the Samaritan comes, and he helps him. It's like, well, who was more neighborly to him? And it was like, oh, well, it was the Samaritan. Mm-hmm. And the Samaritan was like not an Israelite, in other words. But he's like, well, yeah. So he's like, okay, so you should do the same. And really, even the point there was, a neighbor is everyone and anyone. Or even it's in like the Old Testament reiterating the same thing. Because sometimes even people will try to say that the Old Testament like encouraged like almost racism sometimes, where they'll be like, oh, like God's told them to stay away from these people. That's because God doesn't like races mixing or whatever. But God doesn't care about that. The reason he said that was because you guys serve me and then they serve other gods. That was the old issue. It has nothing to do that they were another race of people. Yeah. And like it's very clear when you look at here, he's like, well, whoever dwells among you, because whoever's dwelling among you is serving me. Treat them like anybody else. Don't treat the stranger worse than everybody because like it's all you here. Like, and even in another place, oh shoot, I can't remember, it was the end of Exodus or Leviticus, where he specifically talks about the strangers. He says, hey, be kind to the stranger because you were strangers in Egypt. He says that very specifically. What is that? Mm-hmm. What is that? I thought you were going to, but you went past it, so I don't think you are.
My bad, I was just...
But I don't remember. It was like late Exodus, early Leviticus. Like we have read it at this point, but all to the same point. And that's even the same with us today. Whether black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Pacific Islander, whatever we may be, whatever race we are, that should not be a reason to justify hate or treat one another differently. It's just not. That's not the... It was never the point of what God was saying in really anything. Right. So, and that's even what the Romans says. So, like, who is our neighbor? Our neighbor is everyone. Corroborated both the New Testament and the Old. Yeah. And then even, like, 36. Just balances and just weights. A just ephah. Same thing we talked about back in Proverbs. Where we have to have good and right judgment. We can't basically be biased, is what it's talking about. where we can't justify one thing and not justify the other, be hypocrites, so like the Pharisees, so on and so forth. We have to have the right and good judgment of the Lord. But yeah, that's even 35, the same thing. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about 19.
I do just want to put out that, it says, 31 and 26, where it talks about enchantment and witches and familiar spirits. Just really wanted to throw that out there. One, they're real. You know what I'm saying? They can be fake. It could be someone just lying to you, but there is chance that they can't. Satan holds power in this world. We can't pretend like that's not true. And we also see an example with Saul in 1 Samuel, where he went to a wizard and this depiction of Samuel came up. Obviously, it wasn't really Samuel because Samuel was dead. But the point is, at some point, but the point is stay away from them, right? Don't regard them and don't be defiled by them. I just wanted to throw that out there. But really, I like verse 3 and verse 30. There's 2 times God mentions to keep his Sabbaths. And it's plural Sabbaths because, like we just read in Leviticus 16, where he called the Day of Atonement, the 10th day of the 7th month, a Sabbath. So, yes, we need to be keeping the weekly Sabbaths every week on the 7th day, yes. But and I'm not sure if we'll get to Leviticus 23 today, but we'll also see that God has a few other days that he says it's a Sabbath to you as well, right? Well, all of them we need to be remembering and keeping to this day, right? Just like how we need to still love our neighbor to this day, like how we were just talking about and how this chapter talks about. Just like how we need to keep a just balance and a just hand and things of that nature. So with this chapter, nothing has been done away with this chapter. It's all still good, and that includes the Sabbath as well, right?
Yeah. But we're close to it at this point. Which I said we're real close to at this point, but yeah. What? The Sabbaths.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool.
Just literally one now.
Oh, I meant in terms of the chapters. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Leviticus 20, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Again, thou shalt say to the children of Israel, Whosoever he be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn in Israel, that giveth any of his seed unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. And I will set my face against that man, and will come up from among his people, because he hath given of his seed unto Molech, to defile my sanctuary, and to profane my holy name. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man when he giveth of his seed unto Molech, and kill him not, then I will set my face against that man, against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go whoring after him, to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards to go whoring after them, I'll even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from among his people. Sanctify yourselves therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God. And ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. For every one that curseth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. He hath cursed his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress, shall surely be put to death. And the man that lieth with his father's wife hath uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And if a man lie with his daughter-in-law, both of them shall surely be put to death. They have brought confusion, their blood shall be upon them. If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And if a man take a wife and her mother, it is wickedness. They shall be burned with fire, both he and they, that there be no wickedness among you. And if a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and he shall slay the beast. And if a woman approach unto any beast, and lie down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And if a man shall take his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter, and see her nakedness, and she see his nakedness, it is a wicked thing. And they shall be cut off in the sight of their people. He hath uncovered his sister's nakedness, he shall bear his iniquity. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain, and she hath uncovered the fountain of her blood. And both of them shall be cut off from among their people. And thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, nor thy father's sister, for he uncovereth his near kin. They shall bear their iniquity. And if a man shall lie with his uncle's wife, he hath uncovered his uncle's nakedness, and they shall bear their iniquity. And they shall bear their sin. They shall die childless. And if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless. Ye shall therefore keep all my statutes, and all my judgments, and do them, that the land whither I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation, which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that flows with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from other people. Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beasts, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated you as unclean. And ye shall be holy unto me. For I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine. A man also or woman that hath a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them.
Read, man.
Thank you. Leviticus 20. It's a pretty good review chapter where it covers pretty much everything we've read in the last two chapters for the most part. It even goes back to Leviticus 11 with like verse 25. You shall therefore put the difference between clean beasts and unclean, between unclean fowls and clean. You shall not make your souls abominable by beast or by fowl or any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground. Where he's acknowledging again, like, hey, I have said, the same way he talked about in Leviticus 11, I've said difference between these things. I've told you what's good to eat. I told you what's not good to eat. Don't defile yourselves or make yourselves abominable by defiling yourself therewith. Which is like, even if you're talking about like, oh, what does it mean by make abominable? That's what even like all of these verses just before have made abundantly clear. Like verse 19 or verse 17, where like, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, nor thy father's sister, for he uncovered his near kin, they shall bear their iniquity. Or there's another one, but just to the point where like that abomination is talking about like your sin, you're making yourself abominable, or even like we read in like 18, where he said all these things are an abomination, where he's talking about what? Sin, where it's the same thing. But yeah,
I like verse 7
and
8 and verse 26. Like before we even read those though, I want to go back to chapter 19. And chapter 19 and verse 2, it says, speak unto the congregation of the children of Israel, and say unto them, ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Right? And then when we get to chapter 20 and verse 7, it says, sanctify yourselves therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God. And you shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which sanctify you. But the first thing he said was you need to sanctify yourself. Or sanctify meaning separate yourselves. So we need to separate ourselves from what? From the world, from the ways of the world. Even for like the children of Israel, they needed to separate themselves from the ways of Egypt that they've learned their whole life. Or the ways of Canaan. When we go into this new land, he's already told us in the last, what was it? In chapter 18, where he says, and even when you go into the land of Canaan, don't do what they're in there doing. Like, you need to separate yourself. And that goes for us in today's time. We need to be separated. We cannot be holy if we are a part of this world. It says the world is enmity with God. Like you can't serve God, serve man. Like you can't be on God's side and then be in the world as well, right? So we need to be separating ourselves from the ways of the world, from like the status of this world and everything. And you need to be holy. And then even with verse 26, and ye shall be holy unto me, for I the Lord am holy, and have severed you from other people that you should be mine. But he's like, I separated you guys from, and we've already talked about, he's not even really just speaking to Israel here. He's speaking to everyone that's in the land serving him, right? He's like, I've separated you from other people that you should be mine. And so the point is, he's not telling Israel, separate yourselves from every other nation. He's saying separate yourself from wickedness. From, like, you got to think in this time that everybody else doesn't know God. He's setting up Israel to then teach the rest of the world. So he's giving Israel the instructions, that way Israel can teach the rest of the world the instructions. But my point is, we need to be separating ourselves from the world. That's pretty much, we can't be holy and still be seeking validation from the world. Like, it's impossible.
Okay. And just further to that point, just talking about sanctify yourselves, therefore be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Where sanctify, we were talking about a little bit before. Sanctify means to make yourself holy, or set yourself apart, as you talked about a little bit already. And that is the purpose of the law, is to show you what makes you sanctified, what makes you holy. And that is the thing of that, if this is your first time reading the law, this is the first time seeing seeing these things, and it pricks you. It's oh, well, that's a thing I do, or what's wrong with that? And that's kind of the point, where we as man, we don't see what's wrong with that. That's why the Lord says, my ways are higher than your ways, your righteousness is as filthy rags, and so on and so forth, where at the end of the day, the Lord is God, right? The Lord's God, he's above us. His ways are higher, greater, harder to be understood than what we know and what we comprehend. Which is why he had to give the law to the people in verse. He's I had to teach them. That's why he's even saying, sanctify yourselves, make yourselves holy. Because I have to teach you how to be holy. That's what the book is. That's what the Bible, that's what the Word of God is. It's the way to teach you how to do right. It's the way to teach you how to be holy. And that's even the thing, like I said, it may prick you and be well, that's something I do, or that's something I struggle with, or something of the sort. And that's yeah, that's all of us, because it's still the same point. Everything I just said, we're all man and we're all sinful. That's Romans 6. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We are all sinners, right? But the same way we talked about the just man falls 7 times, but the wicked falleth into iniquity. Mischief there. Yeah, falleth into mischief. Whereas all still to the point that it's the continual trying. It's the putting on the mind of Christ, as Romans and Corinthians talks a little bit about crucifying the flesh daily. Where, you're going to struggle, and you are going to make mistakes, and even as Paul talks about, the sin that I would not do, that I do, but that which is good, that I would do, that I do not. Where that whole passage is literally talking about, I know what is good to do, I know the law of the Lord, yet I somehow still struggle to do it, and I still find myself making mistakes and committing sin against the Lord despite knowing better. Right? That is the whole struggle. But that's why it is important. That's why he's talking about 7 and 8. Sanctify yourselves, therefore. Be ye holy, for I am the Lord. Ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord, will sanctify you. We need to continually, diligently sanctify ourselves in the Lord, which is why we always say, like, study, show yourself approved. Like, the scripture says it, but we repeat it so often. All scripture is good for knowledge, for proof. Because the Lord sanctifying you is through this word of God, which is why you have to continually read it and study it and have it and fill it within you. Fill yourself with the Spirit of God through reading this word. Because it is how you are sanctified, is what teaches you to do the law, and it's what gives you the Spirit that makes keeping the law and serving the Lord that much easier. But, yeah. That's all I gotta say about Leviticus 20.
Whose turn is it?
I believe yours. I'm pretty sure I have evens.
Okay. Chapter 21, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, There shall none be defiled for the dead among his people, but for his kin that is near unto him, that is, for his mother, and for his father, and for his son, and for his daughter, and for his brother, and for his sister, a virgin that is nigh unto him, which hath had no husband. For her may he be defiled. But he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corners of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be holy unto their God, and not profane the name of their God. For the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and the bread of their God they do offer. Therefore they shall be holy. They shall not take a wife that is a whore, profane, neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto God. Thou shalt sanctify him therefore, for he offereth the bread of thy God. He shall be holy unto thee, for I am the Lord, which sanctify you, am holy. And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father, she shall be burnt with fire. And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head, nor rend his clothes. Neither shall he go into any dead body, nor defile himself for his father or for his mother. Neither shall he go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God. For the crown of the anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am the Lord. And he shall take a wife in her virginity, a widow or divorced woman, or profane, or an harlot, these shall he not take. But he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. Neither shall he profane his seed among his people. For I am the Lord, the Lord, do sanctify him. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, saying, Whosoever he be of thy seed in their generations that hath any blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his God. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach. A blind man, or a lame, or he that hath a flat nose, or anything superfluous, or a man that is broken-footed, or broken-handed, or crookback, or a dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, or be scurvy or scab, or hath his stones broken. No man that have a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come nigh to offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire. He hath a blemish. He shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy and of the holy. Only he shall not go in unto the veil, nor come nigh unto the altar, because he hath a blemish, that he profane not my sanctuaries. For I, the Lord, do sanctify them. And Moses told it unto Aaron, and to his sons, and unto all the children of the priests. The end.
Reading.
Here we kind of have the rules for the priest and how they would operate. And like when it's talking about in verse chapter 1, there shall none be defiled for the dead among his people. So if you are a priest, you for no reason should be, like in today's term, like when someone dies, you're unclean by reason of dead body. So like a funeral, we could say. So you just can't go to anyone's funeral. But it says, but only for your kin that is near unto him, that is for his mother or his father or for his sons, for his daughter or for his brother, and for his sister, a virgin that is nigh unto him, which hath no husband, for her may he be defiled. But he shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself. So really saying, like, you're a priest. He says you're a chief man among the people. Like, you are one of the priests of God. So you can't just defile yourself for any reason, or defile yourself by reason of dead body for any reason. It only has to be to someone that's near kinsman to him, right? Like, for example, if I was a priest and my mother died, I can go to that funeral. But if I was a priest and, like, my coworker died, I can't go to that funeral. Like, versus someone who's not a priest, they can go. But as a priest, I can't go. I must keep myself clean at all times. God gives you those, like if your mother or your father or your brother or sister, not even just your sister, but if your sister is not married, then you can go to that quote-unquote funeral or be unclean by reason of dead body or defile yourself, right? Yeah. But if you're a high priest, which is the one that, God anoints, you can't go at all. Yeah. You can't defile yourself by reason of dead body for no one, not your father or your mother. Nobody can you defile yourself by reason of dead body for, right? So that's that.
Yeah.
It also tells them how to marry, but
the marriages. I mean, which is even something they talk a little bit about in the New Testament regarding not priests, but like deacons and bishops. But and more importantly, I think it goes even to the point of like 18 through like sort of like 21, where the wives that they could have they couldn't be like this says like they shall not take a wife as a whore or profane. No, they can't take a woman put away from her husband, for he is holy unto the Lord. Where the priests, and most especially the high priest, had to represent the holiness of Israel, of the Lord. Where, because even remember, like the priest, especially the high priest specifically, were meant to like end up representing Jesus. So they had to be fully holy. They had to be without blemish. So your wife can't have anything on her record, essentially, where someone can say something about you because of her. Like you can't have anything on your record. It's like that's why the high priest, for no reason at all, could ever be unclean. Like for your priest, okay, well you get a little leeway because like you're burying your family, but the high priest not at all. And then even just like he goes into 18, even things that are just not a matter of like pollution, but or even sin in the example of like the wife being like profane, but just like outward blemishes. For whatsoever man he be that hath a blemish, he shall not approach a blind man or a lame, or he that hath a flat nose, or anything superfluous. Superfluous literally just meaning anything just essentially small. Like any small issue. So it's just like there's pretty much anything that's like slightly wrong with the guy, he can't be a high priest. Because even like you talked about like with atonement, Christ represented the lambs, both the one that got killed and the scapegoat that was alive. But then, and both of them were without blemish. And then you go back to Passover, Exodus 12, which Jesus also represented the Passover. They're really both representing the same thing about Christ, that he was sacrificed for our sins in order for us to live, right? Because like even in the New Testament, John calls him like our Passover lamb. No, it was not John. But still the point, he's called our Passover lamb. But those lambs had to be without blemish. So the high priest, which also represents Christ, had to be without blemish too. So literally anything superfluous, like it could be, and it even continues. A man that's broken-footed or broken-handed or crook-backed or dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, or be scurvy or scab, or hath his stones broken. No man that hath a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come nigh to offer the offerings of the Lord made by fire. He hath a blemish, he shall not come nigh to offer the bread of his God. Where none of these things make you unclean, or make you unholy, because it's not sin to be these things, and they don't make you unholy, and they don't even make you unclean. But it's just like, well, you can't take this role as a priest, like specifically because like sort of the reasons I already said, like they're meant to be perfect, they're meant to be holy, and they're meant to represent something. So that's even the interesting thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We can go on to 22.
Hey, quick question though.
Yeah.
Did you want to read 23 today?
I mean, would you like to try to?
Well, it's not even about like, I'm talking about like, are we going to go over everyone?
I mean, I believe we can go more in depth with certain ones in other places. I think we've talked about Passover a lot. I think we talked about atonement a bit. We can keep those fairly brief. The 7, like trumpets, 1 Corinthians 15, that can come up a lot more later. Pentecost, that comes up more with 25. What, Tabernacle, yeah. So I think we can. It may just be like pull up the whiteboard just to like write this is the day and so on and so forth. But it is a very deep specifics. I don't think so. All right, cool. Leviticus 22 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, that they separate themselves from the holy things of the children of Israel, and that they profane not my holy name in those things which they hallow unto me. I am the Lord. Saying to them, Whosoever he be of all your seed among your generations, that goeth unto the holy things, which the children of Israel hallow unto the Lord, having his uncleanness upon him, that soul shall be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. What man soever of the seed of Aaron is a leper, or hath a running issue, he shall not eat of the holy things until he be clean. And whoso toucheth anything that is unclean by the dead, or a man whose seed goeth from him, or whosoever toucheth any creeping thing, whereby he may be made unclean, or a man of whom he may take uncleanness, whatsoever uncleanness he hath, the soul which hath touched any such shall be unclean until even, and shall not eat of the holy things, unless he wash his flesh with water. And when the sun is down, he shall be clean, and shall afterward eat of the holy things, because it is his food. That which dieth of itself, or is torn with beasts, he shall not eat to defile himself therewith. I am the Lord. They shall therefore keep mine ordinance, lest they bear sin for it, and die therefore if they profane it. I, the Lord, do sanctify them. There shall no stranger eat of the holy thing, a sojourner of the priest, or an hired servant, shall not eat of the holy thing. But if the priest buy any soul with his money, he shall eat of it. And he that is born in his house, they shall eat of his meat. If the priest's daughter also be married unto a stranger, she may not eat of an offering of the holy things. But if the priest's daughter be a widow or divorced, and have no child, and is returned into her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat, but there shall no stranger eat thereof. And if a man eat of the holy thing unwittingly, then he shall put the 5th part thereof unto it, and shall give it unto the priest for the holy thing. And they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer unto the Lord, or suffer them to bear the iniquity of trespass when they eat their holy things. For I, the Lord, do sanctify them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and to his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, saying to them, Whatsoever he be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers in Israel, thou wilt offer his oblation for all his vows, and for all his freewill offerings, which they will offer unto the Lord for a burnt offering. Ye shall offer at your own will a male without blemish of the beeves, of the sheep, or of the goats. Whatsoever hath a blemish, that shall ye not offer, for it shall not be acceptable for you. And whosoever offereth the sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord to accomplish his vow, or a freewill offering in beeves or sheep, it shall be perfect, to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein, blind or broken, or maimed, or having a wen, or scurvy, or scab. You shall not offer these unto the Lord, nor make an offering of by fire of them upon the altar unto the Lord. Either a bullock or a lamb that hath anything superfluous or lacking in its parts, that mayest thou offer for a freewill offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. Ye shall not offer unto the Lord that which is bruised, or crushed, or broken, or cut. Neither shall ye make any offering thereof in your land. Neither from a stranger's hand shall ye offer the bread of your God of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them. They shall not be accepted before you. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, when a bullock, or a sheep, or a goat is brought forth, then it shall be 7 days under the dam, and from the 8th day and thenceforth it shall be accepted for an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And whether it be cow or ewe, ye shall not kill it, and her young both in 1 day. And when you will offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving unto the Lord, offer it at your own will. On the same day it shall be eaten up, ye shall leave none of it until the morrow. I am the Lord, therefore shall ye keep my commandments and do them. I am the Lord. Neither shall you profane my holy name, but I will be hallowed among the children of Israel. I am the Lord which hallow you, that brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord.
Good reading, man.
Thank you. Leviticus 22. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I feel like 22 does it's the same as a lot of the stuff that we've seen of the priest so far, but like just sort of the whole point of both the unclean and clean, like being unclean and clean, like the cleanliness. Even when we saw in like 21, where the priests had to be holy and they had to always be holy when they're doing the work. Just like they couldn't be profane, whether in like the superfluous way, or like superficial way, or in just like the uncleanness, where like if they couldn't take up the holy things, like if they had uncleanness upon them, or like verse 4, that if one of Aaron's seed is a leper or has a running issue, he shall not eat the holy things until he be clean. And then even talking about him getting cleansed, where like that the soul which hath touched any such shall be unclean until even shall not eat the holy things unless he washes flesh with water. And even here, it like goes back and like reiterates why all of that, like people who are unclean need to be away from the congregation until they are clean, so important, because the priests, when they were unclean, they couldn't do anything. Especially at this point where you only had 2 priests and Aaron, the high priest, where if you take one of them out of commission, it makes everything worse. But even in the future, it's still an issue if you start taking priests out of commission because they touched, like it explains here and when we saw it before, if they touched something that was unclean, or they touched someone who was unclean, they are now unclean. And then they're taken out of commission for at least that day. Yeah. And I get that is even still the same thing. Or even like to bring up the offerings again, where like even the same way, like priests couldn't be without blemish. The offerings couldn't be without blemish either. Where
couldn't be with blemish.
Well, I said they couldn't be. I did double negative. Couldn't be without.
Yeah.
Yeah. They couldn't be with blemish. They had to be without blemish. Yeah, they couldn't be blind, like verse 22, blind or broken or maimed or having a wen or scurvy or scab. You shall not offer these unto the Lord, or make an offering by fire of them upon the altar unto the Lord. Like they all had to be. Oh, it even says superfluous of the same way, like 23. Either a bullock or a lamb to have anything superfluous or lacking in his parts. Like it was the same way, where still Christ had to be perfect.
Yeah. Verse 8, that which died of itself, you can't eat. So we have a clean and unclean law. What's good for us to eat and what's not good for us to eat. But even if it's a cow, which is good for us to eat, even if it just dies by itself, like it's just standing, walking one day and it just falls over and dies, you're not supposed to eat it. You know what I mean? So it goes, it's a little bit even deeper than just clean and unclean.
I mean, because you talked about before with the blood too, where it's like, well, but you can't eat the blood. And then even with the fat, where it's like, well, if you're offering the thing, well, you can't eat the fat either. And then even, well, like its carcass can't touch an unclean carcass or an unclean thing, because then it's just as bad now.
Mm-hmm.
Where like all of that, where like you have to keep like all of those things in mind as well.
A good way of looking at clean and unclean, it's like the cheese touch. You know, when you was a kid, you know, when you was a kid and you had the cheese touch and you would touch somebody, now they got the cheese touch or whatever. Is that how it worked? Like, I can't remember if that's exactly how it worked. But
I think that's how.
That's kind of how, like, if you was unclean. That's why we was reading. I know, you know, what was it, chapter 13, 14, where it talks about how serious, like it says the priest has to shut them up. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't go anywhere until we see if you're clean or unclean or not.
Yeah.
Because if you were unclean and we just let you roam, you're getting everybody else unclean, like things of that nature. So
yeah, and that's a whole mess.
Yeah. So that's why I was taking it so serious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like cheese touch. You get it. You can get somebody else.
That literally is how like cleanliness works. Like anything unclean, whatever it touches, is also unclean now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about 22. I'm gonna go ahead and erase.
Now we're going to get into chapter 23. And this is where what are you saying though? Like, what are you saying? I don't understand what that means.
And just to reiterate, I think it's here, why the uncleanliness was so important. Beautiful illustration of the tabernacle. I don't know how well the screen can see it.
I'm gonna fix it.
I can.
Oh, it's better if you move it over to this side. This side I had it yesterday. Yeah. And like curve it.
And then just like move the screen. That's incredibly smart of a thing to do. So, yeah.
Let me know if I need to go up or.
Okay, a little to the left and up. I didn't realize there was such a long delay. Yeah, okay.
That's good.
Yep, yeah, there you go. So, same as last time, where the reason why the priests, why it was such an issue for them being unclean, or anyone in general, was because of the tabernacle. This is like an illustration of atonement, but it illustrates the same point. Think of it the same way as when we read in Exodus, like Exodus 5, where Mount Sinai was holy ground, and Moses had to take off his shoes. Where the Lord dwelled was holy ground too. And that's where he dwelled, was the tabernacle. He dwelled specifically like on the mercy seat here, of what would be like the Ark of the Covenant, right? If you ever heard of that. Like, so it was just an ark that contained like the 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod, and like manna, just signs of like his covenant. And on top of it was a mercy seat in which the Lord would dwell. So that's why, like, in certain chapters up to this point in Leviticus and Exodus, they would say, like, the cloud was in or on top of the tabernacle. Or even they would sometimes say it sits on the mercy seat or on the Ark of the Covenant. So it's his Lord's presence. So this was holy ground. And because it was holy ground, the same way Moses couldn't have his shoes on, there are like certain rules. Because this place is special, because this place is sanctified, the same way we talked about how like the priests themselves have to be, right? It needs to be treated with like a certain respect, right? And that's what all this clean and uncleanness is about. The priests, the Levites, also specifically the priests, the sons of Aaron, they worked in this tabernacle. Like Aaron specifically, even like with atonement, going beyond the veil, which like covered the inner portion of the tabernacle where the mercy seat was, and the priests in general just doing the sacrifices there, where all of these holy things they touched and dealt with daily, they couldn't be unclean and mess up these, and like pollute these holy things, which is why it says specifically, what was it? Specific verse I'm looking for. Verse 9. They shall therefore keep my ordinance, lest they bear sin for it and die thereof. If they profane it, I, the Lord, do sanctify. Profane what? He's talking about his tabernacle. He's talking about his holy things. He even says like holy things. Where was that verse? Just looked at it. There, 10. There shall no stranger eat of the holy thing. Literally the next verse. A sojourner of the priest or an hired servant shall not eat of the holy thing. Where still, like, these are all supposed to be sanctified, holy things, so they couldn't just, like, treat this any kind of way. They needed to keep it sanctified, keep it clean. So they couldn't deal with it if they were unclean, because, like, we've sort of seen anything that is unclean, whatever it touches becomes unclean. That's why even the people, they had to work to keep them clean, because it's the same way it spreads amongst the people. The people would also come up to the tabernacle, which is why they said they couldn't come up to the tabernacle when they were unclean, because this is a special place. So all the clean and unclean stuff was not about sin in and of itself, but it was about we need to keep everything clean because this is a special area where nothing unclean can go. Which is why it says, even if you read, reading 22, it's not, the sons of Levi were not sinning in being unclean. They were sinning in eating of the holy things while they were unclean. Because that they now have profaned and messed up the things here. And that's even going back to 9. Therefore shall they keep my ordinance, lest they bear sin for it. So they're not going to bear sin for just being unclean, but they'll bear sin for messing with these holy things or messing with the tabernacle when they are unclean, because that's not what they're supposed to do. Yeah.
What are you doing?
I moved it back.
Go ahead. I thought she was pulling it out for 23.
I need to erase it. So I'm going to erase it back.
Oh. You have him look at me, huh? Well, yeah, alright. So now that we kind of recap, we're going to get into chapter 23. And this is most notably, identified as what most people would call the feast days, which the Lord gave us to keep His feast, or another word for a few of them we can call them Sabbaths, like we just read in Leviticus 18, I think. Where He told us twice to keep His Sabbaths. So that's kind of what chapter 23 is talking about. I'm about to get into it. You want me to read now?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
You want me to wait till yeah, no, we need some spray.
Yeah, just go ahead. It's going to take me a second.
Alright. Chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. So he's saying, like, speak unto the children of Israel and teach them my feast. Like in verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7 days the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. So the first thing he said, and he went back to what we've read plenty of times before, the weekly Sabbath. This is the Sabbath that 6 days you have work, and on the 7th day you do no work. You separate yourself. It says you have an holy convocation and you do no work. So the first one that he mentioned was just the weekly Sabbath. And then verse 4. Now these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their season. So now he's going to go into this list of these different feast days, and he's going to give us the time or the date we can say that they're on, and how we are to keep them, right? So verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread. So we're getting right here, the first one, he's saying it's Passover. The 14th day of the first month at even is Passover. And we really kind of went over that in Exodus 12, where the firstborns of all the children of congregation that put the blood on the doorpost were saved, or they were passed over. They didn't go over that debt. So we read that, and they immediately went into the Feast of Unleavened Bread, where when they left Egypt, they were hurrying out. They didn't have time to bake their cakes with leaven, so they left with unleavened bread, and that's what they continued to eat for the next 7 days. But my point is, this is a feast unto the Lord. The first is the Passover, which is on the 14th day, and we'll get it visual for you guys, but it's on the 14th day of the first month at even. See, it's not the day. It's not the whole day, 14th day of the first month. It is a specific time in the day. It says 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. Now, real quick, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to read we've read it a few times, but I just want to keep reiterating what this even is and what it looks like. So Deuteronomy 16 and verse 6, it says, but at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover, when? At even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt. So right here, he's really saying the same thing. He's saying you need to sacrifice the Passover, when? At even, and it tells you what even is. It says the going down of the sun at the same season that thou camest forth out of Egypt. Because keep in mind, God told us we need to keep these in their season. So the same season it was when Israel left Egypt is the same season that God commanded us to keep the Feast of Passover as well. But we came here really to show that this time period called even is when the sun is going down. I also want to go to Mark real quick. Mark chapter 1. Just to show another witness of it. Just in case, we need another witness. We have one. Mark chapter 1, and I believe is what? Verse 32. 32. Mark chapter 1 and verse 32, yeah. And at even, when the sun did set, they brought unto him all that were diseased and them that were possessed with devils. But like I said, we just came here to show that at even, what is even? When the sun did set. So it's at the end of the day when the sun is in the sky, and then you start visibly seeing it going down over like a 30-minute probably time period. That is what we would call even. It's that time period of the sun starting to go down. So taking it back to Leviticus chapter 23, when it says, on the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. And then on the 15th day, and once again, we're going to have visual representation, but on the 14th day at even, When the sun's going down, okay, we need to kill this Passover, or in our case, we need to take Passover, and we're taking it, and we're taking it. And as soon as that sun goes down, it is now the 15th day. So just like we read in Exodus 12, where the children were passed over, or where Israel was passed over and they immediately left out of Egypt and things of that nature. The same case here. We're going to get passed over and we immediately go into the 15th day of the first month, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. In 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. Verse 7. And the first day you shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7 days an holy convocation, and ye shall do no work. No servile work therein. So this is what we call the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And it says 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. So it's a time period of 7 days where you eat unleavened bread. And on the first day is a holy convocation unto you. And the 7th day is a holy convocation, which holy convocation really means just holy gathering. So it's like where everybody comes, like we're feasting unto the Lord, and we show up to what we call a church, or really just a holy gathering in general, but church, and like feast for the Lord, and you know, celebrate to the Lord. But we do that all 7 days, right? And then, yeah. Are you ready?
Oh yeah, it's good.
I just don't want to keep going if you're not. Like, I don't know how you're doing it.
I can just get it on there.
You gotta be careful with that because it causes a big blur on the screen.
Yeah. No. That should be fine. Then just turn. I think.
Where is the back song?
Maybe. But what I can do as well is just push up a little bit more.
That's good. Yeah. Unless you want to take it down some. No. Because you don't want to cover that top part.
Yeah.
Alright, but I'm going to pick back up in verse 9 real quick. Unless.
No, you go ahead. We go right as you go.
Yeah, and then verse 9. So, like I said, we just talked about the Feast of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Verse 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the firstfruits of your harvest unto the priest. And ye shall wave the sheaf before you, to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer that day when ye wave the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, and offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine in the fourth part of an hin. And ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Ye shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves of 2 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits of the Lord. And ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. And they shall be for a burnt offering unto the Lord, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Lord. Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Lord, with 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest, and ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever, and it shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God. You want to talk about that?
Pentecost?
Yeah.
I was going to say it for the end. Where do you want to do?
Okay, that's cool. And then verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your soul. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. So this is atonement, which we talked about in Leviticus 16 as well, right? Verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles, for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and a drink offering, and everything upon his day. Beside the Sabbath day of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Lord. Also on the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations, and you shall celebrate it in the 7th month. And you shall dwell in booths 7 days, and all that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord. The end of chapter 23. So like I was saying previously, he's giving us the rules. First off, he's listing us the feast days. These are the days that he gave us, that he wants us to keep. And they're all like pointing towards something in the future. And then he teaches us how we are, the ordinances of the feast days and how we need to keep them, right? But yeah, we let the board do the rest of the talking now.
Yeah, so I wrote the feast days here. I wrote Sabbath, 7th day of the week, Holy Convocation. Like I said, Holy Convocation, holy gathering to the Lord, where we can see several examples of, like even just to take the example, like just use the Sabbath first as an example of Holy Convocation. We see on the Sabbath day, Christ went to the synagogue, right? And he as the book says, he communed with the Pharisees out of the book. We see like Paul in Acts, he does the same thing. Whenever he would be, and Paul traveled everywhere. He was one of the greatest missionaries, right? Whenever he traveled to a new place, he would always go into the synagogue on the Sabbath day. And you would see that he did that everywhere because he was keeping a holy convocation. He had to go somewhere. We don't necessarily call them synagogues now. Most of the time we call them churches, but it's the same thing, where you're supposed to have a holy gathering with other believers.
And to that point,
go ahead. No.
And just to that point, like, you'll never read where the Sabbath is every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know how some people may say that, like, it is a literal, like, time period on the 7th day, and there's an event that goes with it, and it's a holy gathering. So it needs to be on the 7th day, and you need to be having a holy gathering. It's not just any day or things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, and then no work, right? At this point, this is something we've seen a lot with the Sabbath, right? You're not supposed to work on the Sabbath, right? But then after that, they mentioned the Passover. You mentioned Exodus 12. We've seen this before. Exodus 13, we've seen unleavened bread in both of those chapters. We talked about a bit before, and you mentioned like the even going down the sun. You went to did you go to Matthew or Mark?
Mark 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Mark and Deuteronomy, where we know even was the going down the sun. Passover, as we saw Exodus 12 and 13, takes you straight into unleavened bread. Even the end of the 14th day here, I drew the diagram again, where here's even. This is where they kept the Passover. And because remember from Genesis 1, the Lord's days work differently than ours do. They start in the evening, like what we would sometimes call night, which I wrote an E here for. And then we have the morning, which I wrote as an M. And then once the morning ends, we have the next evening. That will be the beginning of the next day. So when the sun's going down, it's even. That would be for the Lord, that would be the ending of the day. And remember, these are his feast days, right? That he's given to us. So it's working off the same way. So that even the 14th day leads directly into the 15th day. So they'll eat the Passover with unleavened bread, and they continued eating unleavened bread like we saw in Exodus 12. And so then we had the 15th day, evening and morning. So that's why I wrote 15 days here. We had the 16th day, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, which gets your 7 days of unleavened bread. So here you would have your holy convocation on this day here. And then here is where you would have another holy convocation. But people, and we can see again, another example, Jesus with, when he got lost. You may know the story of Jesus getting lost in Jerusalem, because we've read it before, 3 times a year, all the males are to appear before the Lord. They would go and to the place he's called. This is referring to the feast days of the Lord. Unleavened bread, the first fruits, which is also called Pentecost, and gathering, which is also called tabernacle. Right? But the point being is that it's a good example of that during this unleavened bread, they feasted or celebrate all 7 of these days. right? And like we can see that with that example of Jesus, when he got lost in the temple, it was during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, where, yeah. No, I was going to push it down. Just backing it up, help it.
That needs to come in. They couldn't see atonement or in gathering.
Yeah, but
You still can.
well, okay. Well, I just talked about.
Do what you do.
I talked about the Sabbath, but yeah. So they feast out 7 days, but they had a holy convocation the same way we've talked about, like with the Sabbath, first and seventh day. And then even a notable difference is talks about having no servile work, which is basically servile work. You can think of it. No work is you can't cook, you can't clean, you can't do just like any form of work. Well, servile work was like essentially our jobs, right? Where we could do no servile work, but the work required for the feast. Because the thing about the feast is a celebration where you need to cook food. You need to clean, like people are partying, there's going to be messes. You need to clean those messes. But the point is, people, like on these first and seventh days, they shouldn't be, like they're absolutely commanded not to work. Because this is a day in which I'm celebrating. So why would you be working? Like, why would you go to your 9 to 5 on a day that I'm saying is special and we're supposed to be celebrating? You're not. So that's why it says there's no servile work, right? And then from there, we have Pentecost, or what's called also the first fruits, from the waving of the first fruits offering. And it talks about how you're supposed to count 7 Sabbaths after the waving of the offering. And the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, it would be the Feast of First Fruits, or the Feast of Pentecost. Which you hear people say Pentecost, which means 50 days, because 7 Sabbaths, like Sabbath is every 7th day. 7 times 7, 49, the day after, it's 50, right? It's always roughly around 50 days. And even the deeper thing we can go into later, but even like we base this around Passover, because Jesus died on Passover. In the same way as the 14th day at even, that's the same time Jesus died. And we can see that more when we get into Matthew. But if you look at, Matthew 26, 27, when Jesus died, he died according to the ordinance of the Passover. He died the same way. So he was our offering, right? Because we're covered in his blood. He was the Lamb of God. He was our Passover lamb. He was the offering sacrifice for us. So we count Pentecost based off of when Jesus died being Passover. So we get the day of Pentecost from counting from here. Like the 7 Sabbaths after the wave offering. You have to get 7 full Sabbaths. So like 7 full weeks after the Passover, and then the morrow after. So Pentecost is always on a Sunday. You get your 50 days. And it's the same way where Holy Convocation, you have to appear before the Lord. You have to have this holy gathering, but no servile work. Like, you're not supposed to work today. It's a special day to the Lord. And then we have the memorial, the blowing of trumpets, which is specifically in the 7th month on the first day. And again, it's a holy convocation unto the Lord. Yeah, and once again, no servile work. And I guess even memorial blowing the trumpets, it represents a lot of things about the Lord's coming. We talked about 1 Corinthians 15 a little bit, where it talks about at the last trump, right? About all of the dead in Christ rising, where that's again even what's representing there. And then can I see atonement? I can push it down a little bit now they've talked about the other ones more. But atonement, the 7th month, the 10th day, so 9 days later, you're supposed to afflict your soul, which means fasting, which means you for 24 hours you don't eat or drink. This is an entire day where you fast, which means you don't eat or drink. And even we talked about what was done on atonement in terms of the sacrifice that Aaron or just the high priest in general, like after that point, like he died, would do in like representing Christ. Where in the same way now, we remember Christ, because at this point, like Christ has died. He has been our atonement. So we afflict ourselves in remembrance of how he afflicted himself for our souls, right? He died for us. So in atonement, we remember that. And again, it's a holy convocation. And unlike like unleavened bread and Pentecost, there's no work whatsoever. The same way as the Sabbath. Because it's a day of afflicting our souls. So we aren't doing anything. It's not even a celebration in the same sense as like unleavened bread or Pentecost, or even a memorial of blowing of trumpets, where we're eating a bunch and we're celebrating. Where atonement, literally the purpose is to afflict ourselves because of how Christ suffered because of us, because of our sin. And then lastly, we have end gathering, also called tabernacle. Tabernacle because it talks that we dwelled in booths, or also called tents, which is another way of saying tabernacle. So that's what the name tabernacle comes from, because on this feast of end gathering, you dwell in tents. In the 7th month and the 15th day, and again, it was a feast of like these 8 days. And you would have a holy convocation on the 1st and the 8th day. It says 7 days, but on the 8th day, you would have a holy convocation. So it's like really 8 days. And again, it's still to the point on the 1st and like 8th day, you could absolutely do no servile work. And this is again one of the 3, unleavened bread, Pentecost, and end gathering, where the Lord commanded that all were to like appear before him until like the place where he chose his name, and that ended up being like Jerusalem to feast. So like really people were feasting during this entire time. So they were feasting all 8 of these days. They were feasting all 7 of these days, and they were going up to Jerusalem to feast on the day of Pentecost. So, yeah. And that is all of your feast days. And now even the thing of how they counted the months is another thing. Just they got months based off of the like new moons, which is, if you don't know, a new moon is like you have a moon cycle where you have a moon like I'll start off with like you have a full moon. That's just when the moon is completely in the sky. And then sometimes when you look up into the sky, the moon isn't quite there. And call it quarter moon. There are more moon phases than this, but I'll put like 3/4 moon. I don't know the official name. But like the moon has different cycles or phases, what people call them. You'll have a full moon, and then sometimes you'll have like 1/2 of the moon being seen, and then sometimes you'll have the other half of the moon being seen. And then when you don't see the moon at all, when it's not illuminated, like when it's not shining brightly, no part of it shining brightly in the sky, that's what you call a new moon. Which we've already read about a little bit at like these points in time. But the new moons were how they, with the Lord, we got like our months. That's how you got like a new month, based off of the new moon appearing. So whenever the new moon would appear, that means there would be a beginning of the new month, which is even, like Xavier brought up before, everything was done in its season. So Passover was always, and like unleavened bread was always very specifically in the spring. So whenever like the new moon would show up around that time, that would be the new beginning of the year, and that would be the new first month. But I believe that is all I've got to say about Leviticus 23. More you want to?
Nah, I feel like you broke it down pretty well. And like he said already, we went over Passover, unleavened bread. We went over the Day of Atonement in Leviticus 16. And as we continue to read, and we'll dig more into like the Pentecost and the memorial blowing of the trumpets and end gathering, because they all, just like atonement, how it represented Jesus dying and living again for us to give us an atonement for our sins. Just like how we read Passover and how it was Jesus dying and passing over us. Just like how we read on leavened bread, which we read how the leaven represented sin and how we need to be, after we get passed over or we come under the blood of Christ, we need to be living sin free. So like we kind of dug into these specific ones, but as we continue reading, we'll dig more into trumpets and Pentecost and tabernacle. But as of now, I think that's pretty good.
All right. Yeah, and that's all Leviticus 23 talks about.
Back.
Yep.
But anyways, so that's gonna conclude, today's. What did we read? We read like 17 to 23 today.
I believe so.
So we got some good reading in, as well as our daily proverb. And just to let you know, if you're listening, since we're in the month of February, and February only has 28 days, I think, right?
28 days. 28.
As we start getting down, we'll start doing 2 proverbs just to make sure we finish it all in the month of February. But yes, we read our proverbs. We read 17 through 23 of Leviticus. Things of that nature. So,
yeah. I think it's, I don't have a scripture in mind. I can't.
Me neither, man.
Huh?
You're the host.
I'm the host. Most definitely not a host. But, yeah, okay. Yeah. So with that, we'll conclude our reading for today. Thank you as always for joining us for today's reading. Hopefully we'll see you next time. I guess that would be Sunday, 2 days from now. Concluding it with the same stuff as we always say. The Lord has been gracious. He's been kind. All of us got to wake up this morning. And Lord willing, even if we had bad days, like we are still alive now. And that's something that's always good to be gracious and ever thankful for. Because it's always like, we say it, sometimes we may say it, but sometimes we can lack the understanding of it, that a lot of people did wake up today, and it's by like the Lord's mercy we are not consumed. And as we talked about a lot today, like we've read a lot of today about the Lord's law and about cleanliness, and we talked about lust, and we read a lot about fornication and just general laws, and we of course read the feast days. But even the thing that we've all been, at least like one of the main points I took away from today is that we've all been sinners, right? All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All of us at one point or another have broken one of the laws of God that we are reading through now, and through like all the stuff that we'll continue to read as we just read throughout the rest of the Bible. And it's ever to be important. The Lord's been merciful, and the Lord came and died for us to give us a chance. It's always important to be mindful and grateful, and to not, as the Lord puts it, take His name in vain. To where the Lord has given us a chance, and it's like Hebrews 10 and 26 says, right? Like if we sin willfully, how's it put? Like as we sin willfully after we come to the knowledge of the truth, there's no more sacrifice for sin. Like we know now, and we have to work harder. To whom much is given, much is required. So with that, be diligent. Study to show yourself approved to the God. All Scripture is good for knowledge, rebuke, reproof, instruction, and righteousness. Be vigilant, because Satan is out here seeking whom he may devour like a lion, right? Be charitable. Charity is the bond of perfectness. Be humble, have humility, right? For honor is humility, right? Remain meek, remain long-suffering, try and get faith, work with patience, be faithful in all things. So have the mind of Christ, put on the armor of God, so on and so on. it all stems from the Word of God. So continually read and study for yourself. But with all that, I have nothing more to say. Thank you again, and good night.
Peace.
Peace.